So, decided to make another video talking about cancel culture because I came across a really good example. And I just want to since I made a video about it, I want to be clear where I stand on this issue. And I made a response to Lux, which is due to respect to Wisecracked. And he makes some legitimate points, and a lot of points I do agree with him with, which is that, like, cancel culture can have a large amount of benefit. I just think that at the end of the day, what happens is it becomes, when people start going after people like Terry Crews or Henry Cavill or, like Aziz, you know what I mean? It's not about actually making society have better moral parameters, and becomes more about the capacity to attack and degrade and denigrate a person through the internet, and it becomes more about your own ego than it becomes more about your ego than it does a moral standard that you're looking to implement and hope to see in the society. And so in that capacity, I have a problem with it. But like this racist prosecutor who sent five innocent black people and Hispanics to jail in New York City, the Central Park Five, just recently had a cancel whatever her name was, and I think it's amazing. I think that's good because of the fact, like, in our society, people become comfortable with evil, with racism, with bigotry, with sexism, and in a lot of ways, being impolite was, and I made a video talking about, like, the immorality of politeness, because being moral has nothing to do with being polite. You know what I mean? Like, if you talk nice to Hitler, it doesn't mean you're moral. It might mean you're just a piece of shit. You know what I mean? Like Joe Biden, I think Dick Cheney's a great guy. Then you're a horrible judge of character and probably a horrible person. You know what I mean? Like, it has nothing to do with politeness. You could like a serial killer. You know what I mean? You can be polite to a serial killer, but if he's still killing people, you're doing a fucking shit job of being a good person. You know what I mean? But yeah, so in that element, in that aspect, I think cancel culture, insofar as it is trying to redefine and reconsider and reevaluate the terms to which we find what is moral and what is immoral, is incredibly helpful. And I think it has a lot of benefit to really push boundaries and push our society to a better, more complex place of moral understanding. I just also think that, like, going after Terry Crews, you're limiting the group of people or the amount of people who are going to be willing to hear your message and understand your message. And in fact, might alienate yourself from people who are willing to produce your message and get your message to a larger audience, or even co-sign with you. Because anybody who attacked Terry Crews, I can't coincide with. I'm a side with Terry Crews. And for us to be divided because of the fact you want to feel morally superior to Terry Crews is not a benefit. You know what I mean? You're just hurting the cause, and you're hurting the movement. I honestly do believe that. Because I saw what Occupy Wall Street, you know what I mean? But, sorry. Man, I be dealing with so much fucking bullshit. Like, oh, shit. Yeah. Fucking bullshit. Anyways, give me a sec. But I want to kind of amend or go into deeper explanation about what I think and why I think it. So, the prosecutor for the Central Park Five, so happy she had to leave her teaching position. She's a horrible human being, and she deserves to be kicked out and punished socially in every way possible, because she's a horrible human being. It's flat out. And the fact that people like her are allowed to continue unabated shows that we have a morally degraded society. And in fact, like, racism and slavery is America's original sin, and because of the fact we haven't even dealt with that towards black people, America has a degraded sense of moral rightness. So we don't have even a comprehension of what is morally right and wrong. Especially when you consider what people did to blacks during the time of slavery is what literally happened to Jesus during his crucifixion. And people think this country is, like, based on Christian values and shit, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm sorry, you're the people who killed Christ. Like, the fucking racist slave owners, the white people, fucking back in the day, they're the people who are unequivocally the most likely to go to hell. Without fucking question. Like, seriously, the black people in America during the time of slavery are the people who went to heaven. If you take Jesus' philosophy and theology seriously, black people, black slaves were the people who went to heaven, and white slave owners were the people who went straight to hell. Hashtag sorry not sorry. And I mean that because of the fact I mean it, and I'm willing to say that. I just think that, like, there's an element of this cancel culture that isn't about honest confrontation and talking the truth, but is more about, like, well, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just like, you can't say these things. You know what I mean? I would rather have an honest conversation with a piece of shit, you know what I mean? A racist, or be able to hear racists like Steven Crowder, like Louder or Crowder. Hate the dude. He's a douchebag. I mean, yeah, fucking piece of shit. He's not only damaging to our society, he's vindictive, he's vile, and he has an animalistic mentality that is inherently, it's so common on the right. And what this animalistic mentality is like mob, not only mob rule, but mob like group. Like, we're together and we have, you know what I mean? It's just like, what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? What are you gonna do? It's because they're losers. And they have nothing of value to offer society, and that's their existence. But, yeah, I don't give a shit. I mean, you can change. That's an option. I'm sorry. Like, if you're worthless, how about you try not to be worthless? How about you try to learn some compassion, some empathy? Anyways. Alright. I've been through shit, too. I've been through a lot of shit. I know what it's like to change. It's hard work. But at the end of the fucking day, I don't justify myself by grouping myself with some other fucking people. I justify myself by trying to define myself by myself. But, that's another topic. And life's not easy for everybody. I'm not saying it is. And that's real. And I do have sympathy for a lot of these people because of the fact that it's just like, we're social animals, and so we get our comprehension and understanding through social means, social connections, social associations, and whatnot. And a lot of people just don't have the capacity to really grow into themselves, to really understand who they are, and like really evaluate who they are, why they are, how they think. And it's because of the fact our society doesn't actually value the individual. You know what I mean? Society values the external, like, gadgets and money, and a lot of people don't have access to this, and a lot of people just have bad educations, you know what I mean, that don't teach people how to understand themselves. And that's all across the country. That's for black people and for poor white people. But I do have sympathy for people. But at the end of the day, there is a point where you have to be like, no, you're a sack of shit, man. Like, I don't give a shit. If you hate, like, bro, if you don't like what this journalist is doing, like, trust me, I don't like everybody at Vox either. But to go after him on being gay, like, dude, you're a piece of shit. And that needs to be said. You know what I mean? And that's the difference that I, like, the major point of, like, difference that I think I had with you, Blacks, was just, I would fucking much rather, like, have all the words potentially open to me and call Steven Crowder a piece of shit to his face. You know what I mean? Be like, bro, you're a sack of shit. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? I do not give a fuck what you have to say. You're a sack of shit. Because I think that limiting our speech, you know what I mean? I just think it's a weak position, and I'd rather have speech open. But I think what happened to Steven Crowder is exactly what should have happened. I think he should have been demonetized permanently. I think he should not be able to make any ads on YouTube, make any money from ads on YouTube. Flat the hell out. Like, I believe that. I don't think he should have been kicked off. I don't think he should have been silenced, because regardless of whether you like him or not, he's a representation of something very real in this country. You know what I mean? Like, he is an honest representation of bigotry, homophobia, whatever you want to call it. And I would much rather see these people, to hear what they have to say, to understand who these people and who these people listen to, than to quiet that voice to the point that I don't even know where it's coming from. Because at that point, what you're doing is just hiding evil, hiding racism. So because of the fact you can't see it, it no longer exists. And it makes it way harder to deal with, way harder to analyze, way harder to confront in any honest capacity. And that's also why I believe in freedom of speech, because it's something. If you talk to a person, if I can beat a person in a debate and I can humiliate, like, a Ben Shapiro in a debate on his terms, people who have his thought process will socially relate to Ben Shapiro in that position. They may get mad at me, they may hate me, whatever, but at the end of the day, I will be able to argue them out of that mindset, or at least have the potential to argue some people out of that mindset by dealing with that mindset directly in its most honest and honest form or honest representation. And so, in that capacity, I just entirely disagree with, like, SJW. And there's a lot of people, like, on the left who are just like, SJWs, man, like, ugh. And SJWs aren't a huge part of the left either. They're not, like, at all. Like, the left is... We have intellects on the left. And, you know, Lux, great example. A huge intellect on the left who knows how to think, knows what we're talking about. It's just, you know, tactics. And I think these are debates that we can have. And these are debates, you know what I mean? I think they're hell of important debates. Because I think if we need to move forward... And this is just it. Like, I think we need to understand what our message is and how we best communicate that message to the public. Because we're about freedom. You know what I mean? We're about real freedom on the left. At least some of us are. Like, some SJWs are a little anti-freedom. But, like, I've literally met maybe 3 to 4 SJWs in my entire life. Anti-SJW people are, like, the most lunatic losers on this fucking entire planet. Like, if you spend all your time getting pissed off at SJWs, you need to get a fucking life. Like, for real, man. Like, get a life, bro. Entirely get a life. Jesus. Like, those are the biggest losers I've ever came across or ever seen. So, ugh. It's pathetic, but especially the people talking out about Antifa. Like, bro, right-wing nut jobs went into black churches and murder people. You know what I mean? They go into mosques and shoot people. Antifa hates Nazis. You know what I mean? It's like, well, man, they're also violent against Nazis. You know what I mean? Like, pro tip, if you got two sides and one of them has Nazis on them, you're for the other side. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, or Nazis and communists, you're for communists. You know what I mean? Okay, there's few examples. I was like, but I'm not going into that. Generally speaking, almost always speaking, if there's a side with Nazis on it, you're for the other side. Like, yeah, anyways. So I was gonna say, yeah, that's pretty much that. And so I'm for cancel culture in the sense that we're trying to redefine the moral parameters of our society. But I think that we need to have baseline systems of understanding. You know what I mean? Like Steven Crowder, I think that should have happened to him. But I don't think we can try to silence these people as a form and function of creating a better society as a whole. You know what I mean? Because you still have these people still exist, you know? And so they're not going to go away. They're not going to go away. Like, I'd rather know who they are. Like, the good thing about Trump is he brought the racism, the real racism in this country to the forefront so we can actually deal with it. You know how many times I heard people saying, like, oh, we elected a black person, America's not racist anymore. And what happened after that? Charlottesville. And then people were like, oh, so you mean racism? Yeah, racism still exists. So you can't deal with the problem if there is a majority of people who don't even want to talk about it being real. You know what I mean? And so in that sense, I'm not for silencing speech. I want to see these people. I want to know who they are. I want to know what they said. And I want to make a better society by understanding how these people think and creating a pathway for analysis of people like this so we can grow to a better point in position. And I do think that at some point you just got to be, you're a piece of shit. You know what I mean? Like Joe Biden came out like, yeah, Dick Cheney's good. Well, you're a piece of shit too, Joe Biden. Fuck you, you worthless fucking asshole. And the fucking crime bill, you sack of rotten shit. You've never done anything wrong in your life, Joe Biden. Go fuck yourself, bruh. Nothing. You're fucking nothing. You think your status and your power makes you fucking important? You're fucking nothing, man. You're fucking trash. I'd say that to your fucking face. Fucking joke. Anyway, sorry. That's who I am. This is the type of fucking left I like. I don't like the, like, well, you're mean, so, like, yeah. You know what I mean? This is fuck speech. Come at me. I want to hear your best fucking argument. Like, real shit. Because I'll fucking tear that shit apart. Because a lot of these people are not only dumber than me, they're just intellectually, morally fucking inferior to me. And so, I'll say that. And I can say that because I believe in freedom of speech. So I'll beat them at their own game. I'll beat them at their little, like, you know, maneuvers. Because you know what I have on my side? Morality and truth. That's what I fucking live with. That's my bread and butter. So, man, I need to get back to making like 10-minute videos. Sorry, Lux, for another fucking long ass video. You have a good one, and dudes and wives crack dope motherfuckers. Shit. Maybe you guys shouldn't be associated with. Anyways, good one. I just wanted to explain, you know, kind of where I'm coming from, because I agree that like there's a lot of good that's been coming from cancel culture. I really do think that. So I'm not against that entirely, because the Steven Crowder shit it should have happened like it happened. He should have been demonetized. I just think that he should still have freedom of speech on YouTube. He just shouldn't make money from the platform. Anyways, yeah, deuces, and fuck Joe Biden and Donald Trump.